I don't know what to tell you. Really, I do. You are in real evident danger. What is real evident danger? It's your red notice. Today is your red notice. What I mean by real evident danger. Let's say you're on the road and you know one of those lights where there's a train tracks, and right across from the train tracks is the light. And there's a car in front of you. So that car goes across the tracks, sits there at the red light. You pull up a little bit and you're like, I don't see nothing. So you go up to the tracks. But then the ding, 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 ding. You start hearing that and you're like, oh, yeah. That's real evident danger. Meaning something's getting ready to happen like real quick if I don't do evasive actions, if I don't move my car, if I don't do something quick, bad things are going to happen. That's where we are right now. The election is over. Whether your person won or lost is irrelevant. The United States is going to go through some issues in the next couple of years. Whether your person won or lost, it doesn't matter. The fact that Trump did win means it's going to accelerate. It's going to accelerate what was inevitably going to happen with this country. You can't have this much debt, and you can't have so many companies that went out of this country and like bled the country out. It just bled the country out. So where are all the jobs at? Where are the labor jobs at? Where are all the factory jobs? They're in Canada, Mexico, or overseas somewhere, right? You can't keep having that and think everything's going to be okay. And that's where we are right now. This is the red notice. Real evident danger. And what are you going to do about it? What can you do about it? Well, how did we get here? For most of us who aren't paying attention, it's like a frog in a pot. What's a frog in a pot? You boil some water, you put a frog in it, the frog's going to jump out. You get some cool water that the frog's used to, put on top of the stove, you put the frog in it, the frog's going to chill. You turn on the heat, but you turn it real low so that it doesn't startle the frog. And what happens? You slowly turn the heat up. It could take let's say it take days for you to just slowly turn the heat up. But we're going to shrink that down for like a couple hours. Eventually, the frog will get adjusted to the water, and at a certain point and a certain temperature, boop, the frog is dead. Most people are frog in a pot. That's most people. They just go home, they go to work, they watch football, they watch the sports, they do a little entertainment, and weather happens, a natural event happens. Fucking the war is going on. They're so distracted with everything else that's going on around them that they're not paying attention that they're the frog inside of the pot. What can you do about it? This is your red notice. Real evident danger. If you're on the fringe, that's a problem. You don't need to be on the fringe. What do I mean by be on the fringe? Where a catastrophic event may occur to you personally for whatever reason, and it puts you in a financial situation or maybe a physical situation where you can't handle it, to a really, really bad situation. And we're at the point where we're not at families no more. We don't come together no more. Like people are like, we need to come together. We need to come together. That sounds great, but when's the last time you had a family reunion? When's the last time you and a couple of your relatives just met up with each other on a Saturday and just had some barbecue, had some drinks, and just talked about life, money, kids, family, the future? When's the last time you've done that? And there's always going to be somebody, no, I did it. Great. There's always outliers. But for the majority of people, which I'm speaking to right now, the majority of people have not done that. They don't interact with family like that. I'm one of those people, so I know. And when you try to interact with family and try to have these deeper, more intellectual conversations, everything breaks down. It's like, oh, things are going to be all right. They're going to do that PhD, what I call PhD, pray, hope, and dream. You're going to pray, hope, and dream everything's going to be all right. There's going to be, things have been okay this far, frog in the pot, and things will be better, frog in the pot. That's not how this is going to work. This is going to be like, it's not a gloom and doom, but at the same time, it's going to be some significant events that occur within this country, financially, for sure. It's going to push people to the fringes. You're going to really start to see the separation between the haves and the have-nots. People, the whole egg issues and food issues, you're going to really start to see that. Even when I go to the store, this came from the store. And walking around in Walmart and just seeing people's faces, watching them purchase things, you can feel the tension. You can feel it. For a person like me who's like a social scientist, meaning we observe society as a whole and see how society as a whole is functioning. When you see it as a whole, it's like when you're looking at it from the high, up top looking down, you can see the bigger picture. A lot of people just see with their blinders on, everything is okay right here where I'm sitting at right now, here in the park, everything is great. They don't see the bigger picture. Like when I'm out and about and I'm around here, especially here in Atlanta, you see a homeless population that's getting bigger. You can see that's very evident, especially now it's getting winter and you see more of them out. You see these things. A lot of people just don't want to see it, so they can put the blinders on. And your brain to put blinders on. Your brain is set up to a certain way that if you don't want to see something, you're not going to see it. It's called the reticular activating system. If you don't want to see something, you're not going to see it. If you want to see something, you're going to see it. A person like me, I want to see things. I want to see what's going on in the society. I want to see what's going on around us. So when I say real, evident danger, red notice, that's exactly what I'm trying to get at. So now that you had your red notice and you're starting to really, I need you to sit back and look at what's going on. Not just sports, not just your neighborhood, your city, and read some international news. Look at your financial situation, your physical situation. What would happen if? Play the what happened if scenario. Talk to your family, talk to your friends about this. I do this all the time and I try to talk to people about it, but I always get a pushback. That PhD syndrome, pray, hope, and dream syndrome. And here it is getting ready to be New Year's. What does that mean? It's going to be a bunch of what I call MVPs, manifesting, vision boards, and prayer. Things are just going to be all right. God's going to make a way and this, that, and the other. Okay, that sounds great. But in the meantime, what can we do to make things better? What can we do to make things better for us and for our group? And it's hard to get people because their mindsets, the older you are, the harder it is to get people to move. Their mindsets is stuck on, man, it's just too much. I ain't trying to do all that. I'm just going to keep working and this, that, and the other. But what happens when that job is no longer there? Companies, you see it like I see it. Companies will close something up in a heartbeat, don't tell nobody. You come next day and there's still chains on the gate and be like, hey, ain't nobody open the gate. No, they close. I mean they close. They close. They shut down. They did that to yellow trucking. Well, those truck drivers, it's up and done. If you weren't in the know, you didn't know. And it's happening more and more. But see, that's something I pay attention to, and that's something that my algorithm, something I always looking at on the internet. So it feeds me stuff like that. I like to be maybe not on the tip of the spear, but at least I have the spear in hand, meaning you're on the pulse of what's going on around you economically. Like right now, they're not going to tell you a whole lot. When I say they, I mean the government, the news, whatever you get your information from. They're going to keep it real mellow right now because they want people to spend money. It's Christmas, it's New Year's. Let them enjoy this. Because 2025, things are going to get real wild real quick. And if you're not prepared for it, this is your red notice. Real evident danger. This is it. People aren't really going to be talking about this. Especially the people who you probably listen to. See, if you're on things like the Shade Room and whatever gossip thing or whatever they got going on, I don't even know the other ones. I know the Shade Room. I forget the other one. If you're on that type of thing, World Star, there we go. If you're on that type of thing, you're not going to see it. You're on Instagram looking at chicks and it's just going to blow by you. And you're going to be like, how did we get here? Frog in the pot. You're that frog in the pot. This is your red notice. Very few people are going to understand what I'm saying. That's one of the reasons why I always say 6, how you copy. We copy, you clear, cap what you got. Very few people are going to understand even what I'm talking about. Very few people don't like the gloom and doom and things are going bad, and then I don't want to hear none of that. Ignoring it and putting your head in the sand doesn't change the fact that this is happening. This is happening right now in real time. We are slowly seeing the economic fall of this country in real time. Now, some people are like, good, we want Babylon to fail, and we want the government to this, that, and the other. No, you don't. If you're not in the position to jump on something and get out of this country, you don't want to see it fail. Most people are not prepared for that type of anarchy that will occur if something like that was to occur. People think that there's going to be like, oh, I'll be able to do this and be able to do that. You see what happened during the pandemic when people just went crazy and bought cleaning supplies and a bunch of toilet paper. People will panic. Bad things will happen. And people who are prepared are going to sit back and watch all that happen. Then once that settles down, then they're going to do something. It's like when people rush for the stock market and go buy Bitcoin and all the other things. And when everybody rushes in, the real investors sit back and let that just happen. And when it starts dying back down and getting normal, then that's when they come in and buy up everything. Because by then, people rushed in, they got pumped up, but then it starts to slowly come back down and people are losing money. Then that's when you come in and start cleaning up. Like I said, these are more high-level conversations. A lot of people don't want to have these high-level conversations. They just want to veg out and they're stressed. You've been stressed for the last couple of years. You've been stressed for a very long time. Probably been depressed for a very long time. And you just don't want to deal with it. Great. Then people like me and other people who understand this, we're going to deal with it in a certain way and be like, well, how are we all able to do that? And why can't y'all help others? This is me helping others. This is my way of helping others on a massive scale. For the 2, 3, 4, 500 people who follow, they're going to get this information. And maybe they may get a spark in their head and look up something like, oh, what he's saying is real. Let me go tell some other people. And you're going to see how hard it is to tell people situations like this because it's hard for their brains to comprehend. They just know everything's going to be okay. I'm going to keep praying and things going to be all right. I'm going to manifest something better, this, that, and the other. It's going to take money to do that. It's going to take time to do that. It's going to take physical effort. I'm not telling you come out here like in the park and do 5 miles. What I mean by physical effort, I mean you're going to have to like stay up longer, sleep less, focus more. A lot of things that people don't want to do because it's hard. It's hard to do this stuff. Mentally, it's hard to be like in the park by yourself in the cold, which is pretty cold today. It's hard to just keep doing this and keeping yourself motivated. There's nobody else around you. What do? Glad you asked. You start off by making a plan. I have an offer, which is the 3 B's to a better life. First thing you need to do is be alone. As a man, you need to be alone because you need to be alone with your thoughts. You don't need to be trying to help a whole bunch of people. You can't help everybody. You got to help yourself first. What do they say when you're on the airplane and the thing drops down? Put the mask on who? Yourself. Put the mask on who? Yourself. Put the mask on who? Yourself. You got to put the mask on yourself first. You have to take care of yourself first. Men, y'all need to be more selfish and take care of yourselves first. I know what we've been told because we were raised by our moms, RBMs, and because we're raised by our moms, we tend to be more irrational, illogical, and highly emotional. That stuff trickles down into us as kids. So now as we get older, if we don't watch ourselves, we are what? Now we're adults who were irrational, illogical, and highly emotional. Next you know, you're in prison and some other you shouldn't be doing because you're just reacting. Now you in some type of madness. Or you're dealing with a woman who's like that, and she's in some type of madness because that's what you're used to because that's what you were raised like. And see, some people like the spider and the fly. Let's talk about that. What's chaos to the fly is normal to the spider. Some people need to have chaos to keep their lives going. This is boring to just have a routine and go to the park and work out and get some rest, go to work, eat this, do that, do the same thing tomorrow. That's boring. That's a routine. Most people don't like a routine. They like that chaos. Why? irrational, illogical, highly emotional. You start to see the dots starting to connect just a little bit. And for somebody's going to say, not all, not all, it's because your intellect, your intelligence is not wired enough to know nothing is 100%. There's always exceptions to the rule, but that doesn't negate the rule. I'm speaking to the 80% who are actually listening. And out of the 80% who are listening is really 6. Now you cop, you clear cap what you got. Only 6% are going to actually do something about it. Like I said, there's an offer. 3 B's to a better life. You need, as a man, you need to be alone. Because you got to get your thoughts together, especially if you're an RBM, you're raised by your mom. Illogical, irrational, highly emotional. You need to sit somewhere like this in a park or somewhere, get a pencil and paper out, and just be alone with your thoughts, period. Just, that's it. That's what you need to have. You need that time. You need that so you can make a plan. The 3 B's to a better life. Be by yourself. Number 2, build your mind. Which is inside of building your mind, you have to have a plan. There has to be a plan in place. On paper, what you're going to do, different scenarios. You need to have, where am I going to be in 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years? Where am I going to be in the next 30 years and work yourself backwards? Most people don't know what they're going to eat for dinner today or breakfast tomorrow, let alone where they see themselves in 6 months, a year, 3 years. And that's a problem. As a man, you should know where you're going to be and you work yourself backwards. You also need to build your mind. What do I mean by building your mind? Once you make a plan, you got to be ready for the negative. That's the last B. Be ready for the negative. Once you have your plan in place, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sort myself out. I talk about reps, which is peace of mind. Reps are religion, environment, people, and social media. You need to monitor those things and watch those things. And if those things are not in line with your plan, then you need to get rid of whatever's not in line to your plan. It's that simple. Rome is not that easy. Yes, it is. It is. Don't make it harder than what it has to be. Whatever doesn't align with your plan, you need to cut it off. It has to be, and that's everybody. Like I said, religion, environment, people, social media. If your religion doesn't align, if your environment doesn't align, people do not align, your social media should be very trimmed down to very specifically adjust to your plan. Period. This isn't rocket science. I'm not making up nothing new. People have done this forever. We are at a point right now in this country, we are on a red notice. This is a red notice. And you're going to wait for it to be, like they say, the revolution is not going to be televised. We are now inside of a red notice. Real, evident danger. And most people are going to just blow this off as whatever, he's just talking, the guy in the car with a red shirt on. Then when you start to see situations are changing, it's going to be a little too late to try to make a plan. It's going to be a little too late to try to implement this plan when you're already on the railroad tracks and the train is already coming. Then what do you do then? You can't move forward. The car in front of you. The gates are down. What are you going to do? Well, I'll just drive this. I'll figure it out. Figuring something out while you're in the middle of a situation is the worst time to have a plan. The worst time, because you're going to go off of your emotions, which tend to be wrong if you're not ready for this type of situation. When the military moves, they move on 70% of the information. 70%. That's more than enough to at least get the plan started and have contingency plans if things go south. Most people are moving off at 0%. Then when a situation occurs, panic mode happens. That's one of the reasons why I continuously work out. To get that cortisol, that stress hormone, to get it used to the body. The body gets used to the hormone being secreted, and it's good enough. So when a situation does occur and you're not panicking, you're not in that fight or flight, you're like, okay, this happened, this is what we got to do, this is what I want to do, blah, blah, blah. You're more focused. That's one of the reasons why people train when it comes to like the military and law enforcement and so on. Because when the situation occurs, you're more calm and able to deal with the situation versus panicking. You've seen people panic. You see it on TV all the time. see in the movies, you see it on videos when things go bad and people panic and run and all this other stuff and make things worse. And there's some people just like, hey, we're going to move this direction. They're already planning. This is your red notice. I'm going to keep saying it. So I hope it sinks in. And for the few 6, how you copy clear cap what you got. I hope you get it, man. I hope you take this video and be like, hey, yeah, let me start doing some things differently. I'm not telling you to eat differently. I'm not telling you to move differently. I'm not telling you to do none of that. I'm telling you to have a plan that's on paper and you're following this plan, whether it be 30 days, 60 days, a year, 2 years, and work yourself backwards. But have a plan in place and have people around you and your environment around you that feeds into your plan. And once things start going south, that's a bad time to start making plans. Because you're going to make them and they're not going to be rational. They're going to be irrational. They're not going to be logical. And they're going to be off of highly emotional decisions. The worst time to make a plan is in that situation. I hope you heed the warning. This is your red warning. I'm out.